Hi everyone, Adina here, Oakland Realty with your March 2020 market update. I wanted to label this March Madness because that's what it's been feeling like this last month as we've come into March. Multiple offers are the norm again in the condo segment, and we've also seen a huge increase in demand in the detached segment. So I want to take you through and show you what happened in February and where we've started the month off here in March. In terms of February, sales were up 37% relative to January, and they were up 45% relative to what we were seeing this time last year. So huge change there. Now, if we look at it on a historical average, we see that sales were down about 16% relative to the 10-year sales average for the month. So we're still within pretty normal market conditions, but our biggest holdback right now is on the listing side. So listings increased about 7% relative to January, but they were down 21% relative to last year. As we started seeing the shortage in listings with this increase in buyer demand, we started seeing upward pressure on prices. And this is evident when we look at the sales to active listings ratio. So right now, the sales to active listings ratio for the region is sitting at 23%. This puts us right at the low end of a seller's market territory. And this is when we usually start seeing upward pressure on prices. Now, if we've been paying attention to our market updates, you know that the condo segment has been the hottest over the last 6 months, and that continues to be the case. The sales to active listings ratio for condos was 28% for February. For townhomes, it was 27%, and for detached properties, it was only 17%. Now, I say only because it's the lowest of the three segments, but that's actually the segment that we've seen the most growth in over the last month. So it's gone from buyer's market conditions to balanced market conditions. And this is what I want to highlight for you this month because it's a really important trend to pay attention to. It's actually been in the detached segment that we've seen the biggest increase in sales over the last month. So let's start on the west side. Sales of detached properties on the west side were up 74% in February relative to January, and they were also up significantly relative to last year. We see that the average days on market for a detached property on the west side went from 65 days to 17 in February. So huge change there. On the east side, we saw a similar trend. Sales were up 65% relative to last year, and the average days on market went from 15 to 10. In North Vancouver, we saw sales of detached properties go up almost 200% in February relative to January. And the average days on market went from 29 days on market to 10 days on market. And what's really key here to look at is not just the sales that have increased, it's actually the inventory that has gone down. So the inventory in all of these three submarkets is down about 20 to 30% relative to last year. So if we don't start seeing more inventory come on or buyers pulling back, we're going to see prices continue to edge up in the detached segments in these markets. So let's talk about what effect this has had on prices over the last 6 months. If you've been paying attention, you've seen that buyer demand has increased consistently over the last 6 months and inventory has lagged behind. And when this happens, we typically start seeing upward pressure on prices, which is exactly what's happened. Overall, the MLS benchmark price went up 2.7% from August up until February. Now, the biggest growth was in the condo segment, where the benchmark price for condos went up 3.9%, so almost 4% in the last 6 months. Detached properties only went up about 1.9% in the last 6 months, and townhomes up about 1.7%. What's key here is we have started seeing that upward pressure on prices, and that momentum is continuing to increase. If we continue to see this with lagging supply, we are going to see prices continue to escalate in the spring and summer market this year. So that's it for now. Hope you guys have a great rest of the month. And if you want to stay up to date with what's going on in the market, make sure you follow us on Instagram, adina.yvr, or subscribe to our YouTube channel, or just get in touch and we're happy to provide you with more information. Can't wait to see you guys next month.